The challenge. The grand assembly hall of the galactic hegemony stretched impossibly wide, its crystalline dome capturing and refracting the light of 3 suns. 2,000 delegates from 500 species filled the chamber, their bodies ranging from silicon-based crystalline structures to amorphous gas clouds contained in hovering environmental suits. The cacophony of translator systems created a constant background hum as beings communicated in everything from ultrasonic clicks to pheromone bursts. Captain Alexis Reeves stood at the entrance, her standard-issue Earth Defense Force uniform looking utterly plain against the ornate ceremonial attire of the galactic representatives. At 5'8", she appeared almost comically small next to the massive security drones that hovered at the periphery. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her olive-toned skin bore the faint lines of someone who had seen combat but wasn't defined by it. "The human delegate may approach," announced the Arbiter, a 12-limbed being whose metallic voice echoed throughout the chamber. Alexis walked forward with measured steps, not hurrying, not hesitating, just walking as if she belonged there, despite the fact that everyone in the chamber knew humans most certainly did not belong. Supreme General Vorkath of the Hegemony Defense Force watched from his elevated platform, his scaled skin shifting between deep purple and crimson, a sign of barely contained contempt among his species. Standing nearly 9 feet tall, his armor integrated with his exoskeleton, in a way that made it impossible to tell where biology ended and technology began. "This is what Earth sends to address the assembly." Vorkath's voice boomed without need of amplification. "A single, unaugmented female. Not even one of your enhanced soldiers or diplomatic constructs." Alexis stopped at the designated position, the holographic floor beneath her feet marking her as representing Sol System, a pathetic backwater that had accidentally stumbled upon faster-than-light travel less than a decade ago. "Earth sends what is needed," she replied, her voice carrying clearly despite its ordinary human volume. Nothing more, nothing less. Laughter rippled through the assembly, the various sounds of amusement from hundreds of species creating a disorienting wave of noise. Vorkath descended from his platform, each step deliberately slow as his massive form approached the human. The security drones adjusted their positions slightly, their programming uncertain about the protocol when a high-ranking official approached a delegate so directly. "Your species has been granted observer status out of mere curiosity," Vorkath said, now towering over Alexis, a primitive civilization that somehow managed to cobble together warp technology without destroying themselves. "But your planet's repeated refusals to accept hegemony oversight has become tiresome." Alexis looked up at him, her expression neutral. "We appreciate the hegemony's interest in Earth, General. However, as I've stated in our previous communications, Earth prefers equitable alliance rather than supervised integration." Vorkath's upper lip curled back, revealing teeth that resembled polished obsidian. "Yes, your preference. As if a species that still relies on chemical propulsion for most of its vehicles has any business dictating terms." The Arbiter floated forward. "Supreme General, this assembly was called to address the human petition for full membership rights, not TOE." "Their petition is denied," Vorkath interrupted. "In fact, I move to revoke even their observer status. The humans have contributed nothing of value since their arrival. They refuse military integration. They withhold technological advancements. They decline participation in the resource allocation system." Murmurs spread through the assembly. Earth was indeed unusual in its insistence on independence, but revoking observer status was an extreme measure. Alexis cleared her throat. "If I may, General Vorkath has made several assertions that deserve response." "The human may speak," the Arbiter declared before Vorkath could object. "Earth has not refused integration," Alexis began. "We have proposed alternative frameworks that preserve autonomy while still aligning with hegemony goals. As for technology, our warp mechanics are fundamentally different from yours. Incompatible, not superior or inferior. And regarding resources, Earth has been entirely self-sufficient, neither requesting aid nor refusing reasonable trade arrangements." Vorkath circled her slowly. Pretty words. Your diplomatic training serves you well. But let's speak plainly. Humans are cowards. You hide behind process and procedure because you know you cannot compete. The assembly grew quiet. Such direct provocation was rare in these chambers. That's an interesting perspective, Alexis said, turning to maintain eye contact with Vorkath as he circled, especially coming from a military leader whose forces have never engaged in direct combat with humans. A low hiss escaped Vorkath's throat, a sound his species made when truly angered. Are you suggesting the mighty hegemony fears your primitive weapons, your fragile bodies, your limited lifespans? I'm not suggesting anything, Alexis replied calmly, merely observing that judgments without evidence are rarely accurate. Vorkath stopped directly in front of her. Then let us create evidence. I challenge you, human. Not your planet, not your species, you specifically. The assembly erupted in surprised vocalizations. Personal challenges between representatives were an ancient tradition, technically still permitted but rarely invoked in modern times. The arbiter raised all 12 limbs for silence. Supreme General, do you formally invoke the right of representative challenge? I do. Vorkath's scales now pulsed with a deep blue of certainty. And the terms you propose? Vorkath never took his eyes off Alexis. Combat. No technology beyond basic protection. If she wins, Earth receives full membership with all rights and privileges. If I win, Earth accepts complete integration under hegemony military oversight. The stakes were astronomical. Earth's entire future decided by a single contest. This is highly irregular, the arbiter noted. The human representative should consult with her government before. I accept, Alexis said clearly. Shock rippled through the assembly once more. Captain Reeves, a voice came through her earpiece, the Earth ambassador watching remotely. You don't have authorization to accept such terms. Request time to consult with leadership. Alexis touched her ear, making it clear to everyone that she was receiving instructions, then deliberately lowered her hand without responding. I accept the challenge, she repeated, on behalf of Earth. Vorkath's satisfaction was visible in the golden ripples now flowing across his scales. The human accepts. Let it be recorded. The arbiter seemed troubled but nodded. The challenge is recognized. As is tradition, it will commence after one full rotation of this assembly station, approximately 30 Earth hours from now. Vorkath leaned down, bringing his massive head closer to Alexis. You've just sealed your species' fate, human. I've personally conquered 17 worlds and executed 34 champions in similar challenges. Alexis smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was a small smile, but genuine. Then this should be interesting for you. A new experience. Your confidence is amusing. Vorkath straightened to his full height. Perhaps I'll preserve your skull as a reminder of human foolishness. If that helps you sleep at night, Alexis replied, then turned to address the assembly at large. I thank the hegemony for this opportunity to demonstrate humanity's worth. We look forward to full membership status. As she walked out of the chamber, the noise of 2,000 beings discussing this unexpected development swelled behind her. In the diplomatic antechamber, she was immediately confronted by the holographic projection of Earth's ambassador. Have you lost your mind, Captain? You've just gambled our entire planet's autonomy on a physical contest with a being twice your size from a warrior species. Alexis removed her formal jacket and rolled her shoulders. It was going to come to this eventually, sir. Vorkath's faction has been pushing for military takeover of Earth for months. This way, we control the timing. But why you? We could have requested time to send a specialized combatant. Because I'm already here, she replied simply. And because this isn't about winning a fight. The ambassador's holographic form flickered in agitation. Then what, pray tell, is it about? Alexis accessed a terminal and began reviewing Vorkath's combat records. It's about perception, sir. The hegemony thinks they understand humans. This is our chance to show them how wrong they are. By getting yourself killed by their supreme general. She looked up from the terminal, her eyes reflecting a quiet determination that gave the ambassador pause. Trust me, sir. This is what I do. You're a tactical advisor, not a gladiator. I'm a soldier of Earth, she corrected. And sometimes, that means being exactly what the enemy doesn't expect. As news of the challenge spread throughout the station, delegations from dozens of worlds sought audiences with Alexis, some offering advice, others expressing condolences. She declined them all, spending her time studying Vorkath's previous challenges and the biological specifications of his species. In his private quarters, Vorkath similarly prepared, though with considerably more confidence. His aides projected holographic images of human anatomy and combat capabilities. They are remarkably fragile, his chief strategist noted. Limited regeneration, no redundant organs except primitive kidneys, skin that tears easily, and bones that break under moderate pressure. Vorkath nodded. Their only advantage is their intelligence, but in direct combat, this female will have no opportunity to employ complex strategy. There's something unusual about her acceptance, his aide suggested. Humans are typically more cautious. They're desperate. Vorkath dismissed the concern. Their position in the hegemony is weak, and they know it. This was a gamble born of desperation. As the station completed its rotation and the designated time approached, crowds gathered in the ceremonial combat arena. The transparent aluminum walls allowed spectators to view from all angles, while environmental fields ensured the combatants would experience standard gravity and breathable atmosphere. Alexis entered from one side, now dressed in a simple gray combat suit with minimal padding. She carried no weapons, wore no armor beyond the basic protection allowed by the challenge rules. From the opposite entrance came Vorkath, his massive form now stripped of ceremonial adornments, but still impressively armored with his natural exoskeleton. His clawed hands flexed in anticipation. The arbiter floated above the center of the arena. The terms of combat are simple. Victory is achieved through submission or incapacitation. Death is not required but is not prohibited. No external weapons or advanced technology may be employed. Alexis and Vorkath took positions at opposite ends of the circular arena. Begin when ready, the arbiter announced, then quickly retreated beyond the barrier. Vorkath immediately dropped into a predatory crouch. Any final words, human? Any message for your homeworld before you fall? Alexis rolled her shoulders and neck, her expression calm. Just one question, General. Speak, then. She smiled, that same small, genuine smile from before. Has it occurred to you to wonder why Earth would send someone like me, alone, to face someone like you? For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty passed through Vorkath's scales. Because, Alexis continued, her stance shifting subtly, there's something you should know about humans. Vorkath growled, patience exhausted. And what is that? The smile never left her face as she answered, we're not what we seem. And with that, she moved forward to meet her opponent, ready to show the galactic hegemony exactly what humanity was capable of. The reckoning. The assembled dignitaries of 500 worlds leaned forward in anticipation as Captain Alexis Reeves approached the center of the arena. Many species placed wagers on how quickly Supreme General Vorkath would end the contest. Estimates ranged from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, with only a handful of contrarians betting on the human lasting longer. Vorkath's powerful legs tensed, and then he launched himself forward with shocking speed for a being of his size. His massive arms swept out in an arc that would have decapitated Alexis, had she still been there. The human moved with fluid precision, ducking under the blow and pivoting away. Not retreating, merely repositioning. Her movements were economical, almost understated. Stand and fight, Vorkath growled, his scales pulsing with irritation. I am fighting, Alexis replied, circling him steadily. Just not the way you expected. Vorkath lunged again, this time with both arms extended to prevent escape. Alexis waited until the last possible moment before dropping to the floor and rolling between his legs. As she came up behind him, her hand struck out with pinpoint accuracy, hitting a junction where exoskeleton plates met near his lower spine. Vorketh roared, not in pain, but surprise. The blow shouldn't have registered through his natural armor, yet somehow it had. Impossible, he hissed, spinning around faster than something his size should move. Alexis was already beyond his reach. There's a difference between impossible and improbable, General. In the observation area, the Earth ambassador watched with widening eyes. What is she doing? He whispered to his aide. She's barely attacking. She's studying him, the aide replied. Look at her eyes. Indeed, while Alexis's body remained in constant motion, her eyes never left Vorketh, analyzing every movement, every reaction, every pulse of color across his scales. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The initial excitement of the spectators gave way to confusion, then grudging interest. Vorketh had launched dozens of attacks, each one missing or being deflected in ways that seemed to defy physical limitations. The human showed no signs of tiring, while frustration was clearly building in the Supreme General. Stop dancing and face me, Vorketh bellowed, smashing his fist into the floor where Alexis had stood a split second earlier. The impact cracked the reinforced material. I've been facing you this whole time, she replied calmly. You just haven't been seeing me. Something in her tone made Vorketh pause. His 3 eyes narrowed. What are you? Just human, Alexis said. Nothing more, nothing less. Vorketh's tactical mind finally engaged beyond his anger. He began to move more deliberately, trying to trap the human against the arena walls. No unmodified human moves like you do. That's where you're wrong, Alexis replied. The hegemony has a fundamental misunderstanding about humanity. You think because we haven't replaced our limbs with cybernetics or rewritten our genes that we're unmodified. Primitive. She dodged another attack, this time allowing herself to come close enough to strike 3 precise points on Vorketh's arm. His right hand suddenly trembled, the claw refusing to close completely. What did you do? He demanded, staring at his malfunctioning limb. Pressure point manipulation, Alexis explained, continuing her constant movement. Your species has remarkable natural armor, but even the most advanced biological systems have vulnerabilities where nerves cluster and signals transmit. In the diplomatic viewing box, species with advanced sensory capabilities were now leaning forward with intense interest. She's mapping his nervous system in real time. A Solarian observer noted with disbelief, through armor that our scanners can barely penetrate. Vorketh, hearing this through his enhanced hearing, roared in denial. No species can do that without technology. Humans can, Alexis replied. Some of us anyway. Those of us who've studied the old ways. For the first time in the combat, she took the offensive. Her movements changed from evasive to aggressive with startling fluidity. Her hand struck with precision, targeting points that shouldn't have been vulnerable. Yet Vorketh found his left leg suddenly unresponsive, then his right shoulder seizing. What is this? He growled, genuine fear now visible in his scale coloration. Earth has been developing combat techniques for thousands of years, Alexis explained, circling him as parts of his body betrayed him. While your species was still evolving natural armor, our ancestors were learning how to defeat opponents regardless of physical advantages. The Arbiter floated closer to the barrier, clearly astonished by the turn of events. You called humans cowards, Alexis continued, her voice carrying throughout the arena. Because we don't eagerly rush into wars. Because we seek diplomatic solutions first. Because we don't showcase our military capabilities at every opportunity. Her next series of strikes left Vorketh on one knee, his massive body suddenly looking vulnerable despite its impressive appearance. We're not cowards, General. We're survivors. Earth has known war since before we had written language. We fought each other so relentlessly that we had to become experts at ending conflicts before they destroyed us all. Vorketh tried to stand, but his limbs responded sluggishly. This is not possible. Our intelligence indicated your species has minimal combat effectiveness without technology. Alexis paused, standing directly before him now. Your intelligence was based on what we chose to reveal. You saw our commercial ships, our diplomatic vessels, our civilian technology. You never asked to see our soldiers. With movements almost too fast to follow, she executed a complex series of strikes to Vorkath's chest, throat, and temple. The Supreme General of the Hegemony Defense Force collapsed onto his back, paralyzed but conscious. Silence engulfed the arena. "Do you yield?" Alexis asked quietly, standing over her opponent. Vorkath's eyes burned with humiliation and rage. "Kill me. It is your right as victor." "That's not why I'm here," she replied. "Earth doesn't want domination. We want understanding." She turned to address the assembly directly. "What you've witnessed isn't some secret weapon or hidden technology. It's the culmination of thousands of years of human martial development. Every human doesn't possess these skills, just as every member of your species isn't a military leader." The arbiter approached cautiously. "The human has achieved victory. Supreme General Vorkath is incapacitated. He's temporarily paralyzed," Alexis corrected. "The effect will wear off in approximately 30 minutes. No permanent damage has been done." Murmurs of astonishment spread through the gathered delegates. As per the terms of the challenge, the arbiter continued, "Earth is granted full membership status within the Galactic Hegemony, with all associated rights and privileges." Alexis nodded in acknowledgement, then knelt beside Vorkath. "The technique I use disrupts nerve signal transmission. When it wears off, you'll experience some discomfort, similar to what your species calls shell shock. I recommend rest and hydration." Vorkath's eyes narrowed. "Why tell me this?" "Because that's what humans do," she replied simply. "We fight when necessary, but we heal when possible." As medical drones entered to attend to Vorkath, Alexis walked calmly toward the exit. The Earth ambassador met her there, his expression a mixture of awe and confusion. "Captain, that was. I don't even have words. Why weren't we informed of these capabilities?" Alexis smiled tiredly. "Because they're not weapons, sir. They're knowledge. The kind of knowledge that's respected more when demonstrated than when threatened." In the following days, Earth's status within the hegemony underwent a dramatic reassessment. Diplomatic channels that had previously been closed suddenly opened. Trade negotiations that had stalled for months resumed with newfound respect for human representatives. 1 week after the challenge, Captain Alexis Reeves stood before the Earth Defense Council, delivering her report. "The perception of humanity has fundamentally changed," she explained. "They no longer see us as primitive newcomers to be assimilated or controlled. They see us as equals, different, but worthy of respect." "And Supreme General Vorkath?" asked the council chair. "He's requested a formal meeting," Alexis replied. "Not for reparations or complaints, but for discussion. He wants to understand more about human combat philosophy." "And will you meet with him?" Alexis nodded. "I will. Because that's another thing the hegemony needs to learn about humans. We don't hold grudges when there's an opportunity for growth." As she left the council chambers, her comm unit signaled an incoming message. It was from Vorkath himself, formally requesting not just a meeting but offering something unprecedented, an exchange program between human martial experts and hegemony military trainers. The message ended with a personal note. "You were right, Captain Reeves. Humans are not what you seem. And for that, the galaxy should be grateful." Alexis smiled as she sent her acceptance. The hegemony had called humans cowards, but a single demonstration of courage and humanity's true nature had changed everything. Sometimes one woman was all it took.